thing to move all the way out west, hoping to strike gold in what they called the gold rush. That didn't exactly play out so well for the majority of them. And that's what we don't want to see happening to Metro today. So we are here today as Drive Consulting. My name is Laurence. This is my colleague Rudy and my colleague Omar. And we came today to discuss the fact that you asked for us to prepare you a strategic plan to ensure Metro's leadership in the Canadian grocery industry in the future. Now, looking into this, we found 3 key challenges that we wanted to consider when coming up with a recommendation. First of all, we looked at the strong competition. Obviously, there are some major players that are coming in, and that is a threat for you. Next up, we looked at those consumer trends that are changing. So we noticed that the strongest consumer trend is that people are more and more starting to care about looking into health-focused foods. People want to know what they're eating, they want to know where they came from, and they want to know that the food they're eating is ethical. Lastly, in terms of talent acquisition, you told us you were concerned as the majority of your senior management is eligible for retirement soon enough, and you're having a difficult time attracting talent. As we all know, it's a difficult market that doesn't always seem attractive to young people graduating from business school. So in terms of these 3 key challenges, we came up with Metro 2022, which is our recommendation for you today. So this is a 5-year strategic plan that's going to ensure profitable growth for Metro in the future. So overall, this strategy is going to improve Metro's core banners by looking into digital and sustainable initiatives, and we want to open new non-core banner locations. What do we mean by this? Well, this is a 3-pronged approach. First of all, in terms of your core banner, we're looking at launching Metro et Moi meal plans that are going to be available to people who are already part of the subscription program and who sign up in the future. And we want to invest in that digital footprint because we believe that this is going to keep that long-term loyalty that you have built up with your customers. In terms of your non-core banners, we want to acquire Avril Supermarché because we think that it's a strategic fit that works well within your banners. And we want to tailor those offerings to the Ontario market, following the trends that we found for that specific market. And lastly, for your sustainability, we want people-focused HR initiatives that are going to also include a planet-focused Ugly Foods campaign, which we'll get back to shortly. So what are we looking at in terms of finances quickly? $1 that you'll invest today will yield over 32% ROI by year 5. In terms of your revenue growth, we're looking at 6.3%, an additional $1.1 billion in revenue, and an additional profit of $637 million. Let's look into the analysis. So what did we take into consideration when we came up with this solution for you? Well, first of all, your industry is huge. You're in over $140 billion industry that has an annual growth rate of approximately 2%. So it is difficult to grow in this area. However, you have a competitive landscape, so major players are taking up the majority of the portion of your market. So we're looking at that Sobeys and Loblaws who are taking up 30 to 18%. However, you are operating in a mature industry, but there is room for growth coming from acquisitions. So you're stealing that market, and that's how you're growing your company. So in terms of your competitive overview, Loblaw is definitely at 31% of the market share. They have that large store concept, including Joe Fresh products and the pharmacies that they now have. However, your customer-first shopping experience is much better and unparalleled. In terms of Sobeys, their Canada-wide presence is undeniable. However, you have that customer loyalty with your Metro et Moi programs as well as Air Miles in Ontario that they don't have. In terms of Walmart, of course, we all know it, those everyday low prices, but you have that higher quality and a better selection of fresh products. And lastly, Amazon. It might not come to mind as an immediate competitor that you think of. However, that online market is growing, even though it is very new, and they're definitely in line to scoop up that first place. However, you have that physical distribution network, and you've already taken the steps to put into place the online segment that will be the future in groceries. So you do have clear advantages over your competitors, and you are clearly capable of competing with them. So let's take a glance at your company. Your mission is to continue to exceed your customers' expectations and day to day earn their long-term loyalty. We believe that you've done this through your supplier network, your extremely strong brands, your amazing employees, as well as your customer experience. So that really is your competitive advantage. You're offering that seamless experience day in and day out for customers in your stores and online. So taking a look at the Quebec and Ontario markets separately, in Quebec we noticed that your Metro et Moi program is extremely strong and people do tend to use it very regularly. In terms of consumers, they're shifting towards those healthy alternatives. So superfoods, health foods, organic foods, they want to know what they're eating and they want to know that they're eating well. And lastly, we have an aging population in Quebec. So as you stated, over 40% of our population is aging, and they're very in tune with those concerns about ethical foods. They want to know what the food that they're eating is and where it's coming from. And in terms of Ontario, we saw that growing demand for discount foods. So as you have been converting some of your stores to food basics, this is definitely answering that trend, and we see that this is a trend that's continuing to grow. In terms of Toronto, a very multicultural area. So we do see an opportunity there for that brand that you have under the banner of Adonis possibly being an interesting opportunity. And lastly, you have opportunities that exist to grow in presence. So we want to push Metro in Ontario and furthermore throughout Canada. So overall, both of these markets are very interesting opportunities that do show promising areas of growth. So when we took a look at those 4 things that you include in your strategic plan, you had differentiating your brand, growing your discount banners, efficient cost structure, and strength via acquisitions as your 4 main criteria to continue to propulse the Metro brand. You've launched that online platform for groceries, so you are in that right step of being in the first movers, as the majority of the grocery companies in Canada haven't tapped into that at all. In terms of converting your food basics, converting your Metros into food basic stores, you're right on key with exactly what you need to be doing in Ontario, so that's great. We'd like to continue that. In terms of day-to-day cost reductions, again, and acquisitions of Adonis and Première Moisson. So in the future, what we're seeing is we're going to continue increasing the number of those conversions of food basic stores to continue to tap into that growth trend, as that is the highest growth segment that you have. As well, we want to invest in your connected technologies, so we'll be implementing several initiatives within your stores and within your Metro et Moi program that we will discuss later. And we want to reduce that spoilage cost, so again, those ugly foods that we mentioned earlier that we will talk about again, and continuing to grow via acquisitions. So overall, you have a strong strategic plan, but with the opportunities that we've found, you can grow even further. So what are ugly foods? Ugly foods aren't perished foods, they're just the foods that people discard or look at and decide to take the other one next to it because they're not quite as pretty as they'd like. So we saw that 9% of fruits and vegetables are often too ugly for stores to sell. So these are not foods that you're ignoring, these are foods that you've already paid for and purchased that you're just throwing away simply because no one will buy them because they look a little less pretty on the outside but are just as high quality on the inside. So we think that ugly foods offer a potential for your company to have a new revenue stream if we market it in the right way. In terms of market trends, obviously again, those health foods. So 31% of Canadians are extremely willing to pay more, to pay a premium for foods that they know are healthier. In terms of holistic foods, so 82% of grocery consumers are looking to minimize their health products. And how do we see that happening? People are more and more in tune to what people are talking about in terms of health foods, superfoods, and how your eating can better your health and prevent health problems in the future. And as well, your online groceries. So the majority of Canadians are willing to use online groceries, and we see that as being the future. So overall, these market trends indicate a rise in organic food demand as well as digital offerings. So people are being more and more connected. So I will pass it off to my colleague Omar to look into the brief financials.
Thank you, Lauren. So let's look at the financial dashboard, or if I may say, your gold stack. Right now, your sales are 12.8 billion. They've been growing at 7.3%, so you're in a healthy situation. However, in order to look at your current liquidity, we'll look at the debt to equity at 0.46, which is very fair with what's in the market right now, and it's in the average. However, your cash position is at 27.5 million, and you have a levered free cash flow of 297.9 million. So this doesn't put you in the best disposition to make that big acquisition that you want to make, let's say in the Western, for example, for over Marketing. it doesn't put you in the best position. So this would have to wait. This is why you have a strong financial position, but with limited liquidity. Now, let's look a bit about the alternatives that we pointed out. We said that the best way to grow for Metro from now on is via acquisitions, because it's less costly for you, and it's you can utilize your capital more efficiently that way. In the fields of acquisition, we looked into 3 fields at what you should acquire, what you could acquire. There was a pharmacy, a Western Canada grocery, or an organic food retailer. Regarding the revenue potential in the short term, the pharmacy and the Western retailer offer the best revenue potential. However, this is not necessarily possible from the standpoint of your liquidity requirements, and moreover, this doesn't leverage your core competencies or your core capabilities. However, if you get onto the organic food retailer, that will give you the opportunity to first jump on that growing market of what you do better already, and moreover, to have the cross-selling opportunities of acquiring new customers through the organic food retailers, and moreover, to sell those products in your stores, which you've done so good, so well with Adonis and Première Moisson already. So this is the kind of model that we're looking into the acquisition. On this, I'll leave it to Rudy to talk about the recommendation.
Thanks, Omar. So our recommendation, again, is Metro 2020. And what this is going to do is ensure a 5-year strategic plan for Metro to get it where it wants to be as the leader in Canada's grocery industry. So the overarching strategy here is by focusing on your core banner in these 5 years, as well as expanding your presence throughout Canada, so in Ontario, not necessarily the Western region right now. This is a 3-pronged approach. The first in the core banner is launching the Metro & Moi loyalty program. And this, we really want to incorporate the meal plans into this loyalty program to entice people to come back and create that retention, or create that loyalty, not only to Metro as a brand, but to that app as well, so that they're relying on the app to use their, to get their meal recommendations for their diet that we saw that need for. In terms of non-core banners, we see acquiring Avril Supermarché as a great option for you to go into the organic food trend and have a physical presence in that market, as well as tailoring your offering to Ontario markets. And finally, for sustainability, we want some people-focused HR initiatives to really promote that new, or that rotational program that you offer, and launch the Ugly Foods initiative. So let's dive right into this with the core banner of Metro. So in terms of, we want to do 3 main things here. The first is connected stores. 2 is really develop a plan for rolling out the online groceries. And 3, the Metro & Moi meal plans. So for connected stores, this is where we want to offer in-store Wi-Fi for Metro consumers, so that when they walk in the store, it's a connected experience, that they're able to share their experience in the store on social media, because we saw a rise in that among millennials. And perhaps they're walking into a new Metro store that they've never been to, and they're not really sure where their favorite Quaker cereal is. Well, we have aisle mapper technology that they're able to go into the store, find out right away where their cereal is, and purchase that cereal. But on the way, there's a great sale on coffee. And what happened there is we have a Bluetooth beacon that sends a notification to their phone to alert them of promotions that they would have otherwise missed. So this is a great way to connect, to bring the digital age to Metro stores and really integrate that loyalty program even further. In terms of online groceries, we love this idea and what you're doing in the three markets. And in order to build on this, we saw opportunities in urban areas to minimize those delivery times, because that's going to be a high cost part of that initiative. As well as looking for these new markets, one of the criteria, looking at your current online grocery sales and seeing what the top items are selling and matching it to markets which have similar items that are selling. So using that as a criteria to determine which markets you plan on going into in the short run. So overall, this really differentiates Metro's offering among its competitors. In terms of Metro & Moi meal plans, we see this as a great add-on to the existing loyalty plan, specifically in the app. So you could have meal plans customized to a dietary requirement. So say I'm on a ketogenic diet right now and I'm trying to lower down my carbs. Well, I could have a list of all these great foods that I could eat, tailored to me, tailored to my diet, and it would be included in the app. And I get to know all the great benefits of these foods straight in the Metro app. So I wouldn't have to turn to the MyFitnessPal app that I currently use. And at the same time, you could use this to have recipes done weekly and promote profitable products in these segments. So use the diet as an opportunity to promote a profitable product that someone in that diet might not have otherwise bought. So it's really improving your margins there. And we see a long-term potential here as offering these meal plans as a subscription model using your online grocery platform. So once people are tied into a specific meal plan, it'd be delivered to their house every week, and they wouldn't have to worry about doing the groceries. As for the non-core banners, this is where we see one strategic imperative here is to acquire Avril. So we've seen this is an organic food retailer that has 6 locations in Quebec, and this real estate are in prime locations in rising suburban areas. In the long term, we see the potential to open 25 stores in Canada, specifically in the Ontario and Quebec markets. And at the same time, looking to tailor the Ontario offering. So we saw that rise in multicultural foods, and that's where we'd like to, convert perhaps Metro stores to Adonis, or open new Adonis stores to cater to that demand, as well as converting more stores to Food Basics based on a low average basket size. So in stores where people are already spending less, that's where you want to capitalize on those low price purchases and get people to switch over to the Food Basics brand where you can make more money. And then overall, these growth of these non-core banners is essential for Metro's success in these next 5 years. So in terms of Avril, we see it has a very strong brand name and presence, and we see an acquisition as a better option rather than starting a new store because it has these existing relationships with the organic retailers, or with the organic suppliers. And having these relationships, which you currently have with your organic section in your store, they have kind of a vaster network with these independent farms, and you'd be able to leverage that to grow the store. Use your capital to push Avril as Metro's organic retailer. So this store concept is very connected as well. They offer in-store Wi-Fi. It's a very connected loyalty program as well. So there's synergies there. And there's a sustainability focus, which everybody's loving these days. And we set a target acquisition price of $75 million. So we have some synergies in mind that would come from this acquisition that we'd love to get to in the question and answer period. So for sustainability, this is where we saw Ugly Foods as a great opportunity for Metro to invest in. So these are the foods that aren't put on display because they're too ugly, but they're still good, they're still hearty, they're still the foods that people will eat. So this eliminates store waste and offers new revenue streams for Metro in its fresh produce segment. So this could also be used in tandem with in-store prepared meals. So you have these Ugly Food used to make the in-store meals that are at the front of every Metro store, and have a subscription plan in place with these in-store prepared meals with Ugly Foods. And what we want to keep in mind here with these prepared foods is to make the ingredients very transparent, so people know exactly what's in their food, what they're eating, and they're able to use this in tandem with their diets. So we had a campaign in mind for the launch of this Ugly Food segment, and the message here is it's what's inside that counts. That just because the food looks ugly doesn't mean it's not whole on the inside. And what we're really trying to target here is customers who are looking for value in their purchases, but also for that sustainable aspect, because that would be promoted throughout this campaign. That they taste the same, but there's a lower environmental impact on this food because it would have otherwise gone to waste. So we really want to capitalize on that target market who would be buying these foods. Now we saw, in terms of the talent acquisition for the sustainable initiatives, we love the program. We did some research on the development program. We think the program is very solid. It's just perhaps a tweak in promotion that needs some work. So the first step here is to reach out to existing participants to gather their feedback on what's great about this program and use that to promote. So if they really like the team, the people they're working with, or perhaps the work, that's what you want to promote in your advertising to students. And you want to promote through the career development management or career management services at the different universities in Quebec and Ontario. So what this does is you'll have content to push to these students from other students, and that's the reason that these students love the job. And at the same time, we see an investment opportunity in content marketing to drive that search engine lead to Metro as a top employer when we're starting our job search on Google in our last year. So now I'd love to pass on the floor to Omar to walk us through the implementation.
Thank you, Rudy. So let's start with the short term. In the short term, what you need to do tomorrow in the next 3 months. So first is the meal plan development. This would be an add-on to your application, so it wouldn't be that much of a big effort. You can do it in that short of time of period. And it would also be the rollout of the marketing of this initiative. Moreover, the HR initiatives are also the ones that be implemented in the 0 to 3 months. And what we want, what's the key performance indicator for that period, is the app usage of Metro et Moi, especially with the meal plan development, an increase of 15% for the meal plan development. So that's the capture that you want to have by month 3.
So an increase in users or increase in sales?
No, not increase in sales. It's adoption of meal plan development. So the people that are going to be using that new feature on your existing app. Over the 3 months to 24 months, we're looking into the Ugly Food launch and the marketing of the campaign, as well as acquiring and integrating Avril. The acquisition and integration of Avril, it's a bit of a short period, since a year and a half is not that long to acquire and to integrate. However, the fact that it's a smaller chain of 6 stores, and the fact that you have the rationality to buy it, so we don't see the acquisition process as being as lengthy as acquiring maybe a $1 billion company. And the integration as well for the same reasons. So what we want to see in that period is the uptick in job applications from the HR initiatives in the first 3 months. So we want to see a 15% increase in job applications for the development program. And finally, for the 24 to 36 months, we're going to see the online grocery review. So this is the feedback through the Metro et Moi app, and the rolling out of opening new stores of Avril in order to get on that momentum, to get on that growth. What we want to see by year 3, the end of year 3, is Ugly Food sales of $126.2 million. Now, regarding your medium-term to long-term goals, this will be the rollout of the stores opening for Adonis and for Avril stores. So what we really want to do is really capture the market the quickest way possible in those periods. The target for this period is to increase Avril revenues to $154.1 million and Adonis revenues to $171.9 million. That's from the new Adonis that would be open on a standalone basis. And finally, on the long term, past that 5-year period, this is where we want to see you pursue a Western Canada market entry. And the rationality behind it is that you will have a stronger position, stronger financials, and you're going to have a further product offering to capture that market. So we see it as putting the 5 years, putting the base for capturing into the growth opportunities that are more valuable to you today, in order to pursue the Western Canada market eventually. Now regarding the financials, how much are you going to get from this and how much is it going to cost you? First, let's start with the budget. Let's start from an example of our rationality behind the Adonis store openings budget. So approximately, we estimated the opening store costs at being $500,000. Since the majority of the stores that we want to open in the very next few years is in the Greater Toronto area, so we added the 20% premium for that real estate for the additional costs, and for the rolling out of 10 Adonises in the first 2 years, that comes out to $15 million. So let's dive in deeper into the budget. The Avril acquisition and integration will cost approximately $100 million. This is assuming a 1.2 to 1.4 times sales multiple. This is a bit higher than you can see in your market. This is due to the fact that they have higher margins because of the product they're selling, as well as higher growth opportunities. It's terminé. Okay, in conclusion, I'll open the floor to questions.
Okay, well, good. I know there's a lot of slides, but I can tell you I will go through them, so don't worry. So, as CFO, let me start off with your point about that we have limited financial capacity. I just want to make sure that you consider the investment that we own in Couche-Tard that's worth $2.1 billion, and that we buy back our own stock for about $400 million a year. So, we'll make sure that you took that into consideration in your...
In fact, we did. But the way we saw it is that the investment in Couche-Tard has a rationality behind it, and it's been good for you in the past few years. So we wanted to keep that on a standalone. And moreover, the fact that you're cutting out dividends and you're increasing dividends each and every year, we want to make sure that you still have that free cash flow available for it. So we don't see the Western Canada opportunity as being valuable enough for you to divest from the investments and to go on that track.
I agree. Mr. Patterson has not sold a business in his life. I don't think so. That's very well. In your acquisition of Avril, are you suggesting we continue the growth, assuming that they're for sale and we negotiate a successful transaction? Are you suggesting that we grow independent points of sale of Avril? Or are you suggesting that we open Avril store within a Metro store?
This would go through in both fields. So kind of what you did with Première Moisson. So you have the independent Première Moisson that's still working pretty well for you, but you added the Première Moisson section to the Metro store. Right now, we're not saying to add a section. You already have an organic, more healthy section. So it's integrate the products into that section, and maybe eventually, if the brand name commands it, you can put it like the Avril section on the Metro store. So that would be a good way to process.
The other question, and I'll leave some time for my colleague, but the other question is that we haven't really talked about pharmacy. What's your view on the segment in terms of growth prospects, in terms of...
Okay, so right now, why not jump in? So first, there is the difficulty of integration and redundancies. So most of your geographical situation is similar to Jean Coutu. The liquidity situation that I was talking about, we don't see Jean Coutu as being as accretive as an investment that you have in Couche-Tard. And moreover, the rationality behind Jean Coutu tends to come from the rationality behind Loblaws acquiring Shoppers. But it's not the same transaction. Shoppers has a Canada-wide positioning. It has a very strong loyalty program. That's one of the first reasons that Loblaws bought it. The geographical reach and a stronger brand. So all of those reasons do not commend buying Jean Coutu. Moreover, the new regulation that's coming into place with the generic drugs, that's going to lower the margin. So if you buy it today or in the next year, you'd be paying too much for what it is because of the new regulation that's going to come into place. So this is why we don't see drugstores or Jean Coutu as being a good investment. Thank you.
And why buying Avril or any other organic food store? Like why are we buying real estate and stores? Should we go just online and be the first one or the biggest organic reseller online?
That'd be a great opportunity. We think that Avril really, what's great about Metro is it has the online presence as well as the physical one. So it kind of works in tandem that you can shop online or in store. So we saw Avril as a kind of entry point for Metro in the specifically organic foods retail. That could go in tandem with Avril, which already has an online grocery platform that could be used for purchasing. So it works in tandem for that.
You did discuss about the low-cost banners that we would convert Metros into Food Basics in Ontario. Do you recommend converting all of them? Do you recommend building others and converting a few? Like, how do you see that part of the growth strategy?
Right. So I'd evaluate currently you're undergoing this. You're going through Metros and converting them to Food Basics, and I'd look at certain metrics like low average basket size to determine which stores to convert. But there's obviously going to be a point in the curve where your marginal return is not going to be there. So you'd have to kind of play that as you go, and that comes with doing it slowly, so not all at once. And over the course of these 5 years, it's really kind of learn as you go before conversion.
Okay. Good. I'm good. Very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.